Hi everyone, this is Caly. I'm here to share some inspiration using the March 2024 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. As always, there are tons of goodies in this card kit, including a stamp die, some embellishments, an embossing folder, as well as other goodies and cardstock. Here's a look at the mix and match butterfly set, and the coordinating die actually only coordinates with that butterfly at the top left, and I'm going to be using that image to stamp over some heat-resistant clear acetate. Now, when stamping over clear acetate, you have two options. You can use a non-porous permanent ink like StazOn Jet Black, or you can emboss. So I'm going to be embossing because I really wanted that raised edging on the butterfly wings. It's also going to give it a bit of gloss and a bit of texture. So I'm putting the images over the clear acetate in my MISTI along with that butterfly's body. I've already prepped my acetate with anti-static powder, so it's ready to stamp. I'm using VersaFine Clair in Nocturne, so this is a great hybrid black ink, and it's going to stay wet. And again, the surface of the acetate is non-porous, so this ink won't dry on the acetate. And that's why I'm going to dust this image here with some clear embossing powder. The clear embossing powder does react with that ink and is black, but it looks more like a transparent black, especially on acetate. So if you're brave, you can definitely use black embossing powder to get a really crisp butterfly image. Next, I'm going to die cut my butterfly, and I have to say this clear acetate is very thick, so I did have trouble cutting through the acetate even with a shim. But the embossed lines are there for the cut, and it's already cut halfway through. So I just run my scissors through it, and it cuts very easily. So I did have to fussy cut a little bit, but it really was a smooth cut with that already run through the die cutting machine. I also die cut the butterfly's wings in white cardstock, and we're going to be ink blending so that we can get color from behind. So this is just an easy way to create this three-dimensional butterfly by quickly coloring with ink versus stamping and coloring all those details on the intricate butterfly. I'm starting off with a deep bluish purple color here in Iris. I'm blending from the center because I really want to intensify that dark color at the center of the wings. Then I'll do the same with the bottom set of wings. If you want to make your card more colorful, you can definitely use different color combinations and change up the top from the bottom and use some brighter colors as well. Now for the outer portions of these wings, I'm using amethyst ink. It's a more vibrant purple. With this color, I'm going to blend from the outside of the wings towards the centers to get those two colors to blend well together. And I'll concentrate this color at the outer edges of the wings. Now to give these wings that 3D effect that I'm going for, I'm just going to bend my acetate butterfly wings just a little bit. There is some space between the two wings, so I'm kind of holding my fingernail in place and just bending it where the illustration lines end, if that makes sense. So we have both sides of the wings going up. Now moving on to the background, I'm going to use a Transparent Things sheet from Tim Holtz's Ideology set. This is also a part of the March 2022 Simon Says Stamp card kit. There are 4 different themes for the Transparent Things sheets, so you have options with colors. Since I'm going with the purple one, before I embossed the background, I wanted to create a little bit more color for my cardstock. So I did a very, very soft blend using a background blending brush from Simon Says Stamp, and I ink blended that with amethyst ink. Again, it's very soft and light in color, so I just wanted a base color. Now I'm using some residual ink here from my blending brush. So if you remember, this is going to be amethyst as well. And I'm just adding some darker spots here and there along the edges. Now to distress my cardstock, I'm using this fun tool from Tim Holtz. It's called a paper distressor. And it's got a rotary blade inside all around the openings of this tool. And what I'll do is I'll run that blade across the cardstock edge. And that's going to distress the cardstock and give it really fun texture. And because I ran this through the embossing folder, the paper is a little bit weaker than a regular panel would be. So I'm using an acrylic block just to hang my paper over the edge a tad for more support. And I'll continue to run that blade against all the edges of the paper to create this distressed look. It's actually shaving the cardstock as it runs that blade over the paper. So it creates these little fuzzies and kind of distresses the paper and makes it look really, really fun. And it kind of gives it more dimension to me as well at the edges. So here we have the panel. It looks like it's been beaten up, which is great. That's the look that I'm going for. And then to intensify that, I'm going to use Pansy ink. This is a new color from Simon, and it has almost like a brown undertone to the purple, so I thought it would be great for distressing this paper. You can also use browns or yellows if you'd like. I am using the same blending brush that I used for the purple ink blending that I did on the butterflies, and I'm just adding that ink all along the edges and kind of just scrubbing it into the fuzzies all around the edges, and that gives it a really fun look. Now back to the transparent sheet from Tim Holtz. It is a little bit tricky to adhere transparencies like this to cardstock. You could use double-sided adhesive, but I was worried about it showing through from underneath. So what I did was I took this and the butterflies to my sewing machine, and I did a few zigzags in the upper right-hand corner and in the bottom left-hand corner, and I kind of tilted the panel a little bit for interest. And I also sewed the butterfly together down the center of the butterfly's body. Now to make sure, again, that this adheres really well, I'm using some red line tape from Simon Says Stamp. This is 1/4 inch red line tape, and it's very, very strong. So I know that this butterfly is going to be secured very well. As you can see, that acetate is so much fun and gives this card a lots of dimension and interest. And so that butterfly is sitting happy right there. And what we're going to do is stamp our sentiment next. I'm going to emboss a sentiment from that mix and match butterfly stamp set on black cardstock using white embossing powder. I'll heat set that, and then I'll fussy cut around this sentiment. I really love fussy cutting around sentiments. I love it when the cut lines are close to the words. And then I'll use my 6-inch T ruler here to make sure that my sentiment is straight on the panel. It is a bit of an illusion with that transparent sheet tilted the way it is. Now to use up more of what is included in this card kit, I'm just adding some of these fun, positively dazzling gems in cool tones. Then I'll finish off by adhering this to a card base. Now using some liquid glue, I'm going to make sure that I secure that thread really well from my sewing machine, so I'm making sure to run adhesive over that sewing line as well. And that finishes this card. I want to show you another card that I created for release night, and it's in pink tones using another transparent sheet. Now for that card, I did go a little bit above and beyond with additional elements since I didn't adhere a big butterfly to it. So I've embossed some hearts there over some matte gold cardstock that came in the kit as well, and used a few more transparent elements that were in that Tim Holtz set. I hope you enjoyed these projects using products from the March 2024 card kit from Simon Says Stamp. If you're interested in any of the products that I use or in becoming a subscription member, everything will be linked below as well as on my coordinating blog post for you. Thanks so much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day. Bye everyone.